Hi everyone, welcome to our lesson 40, and my name as usual is Professor Robert. And in today's lesson, we'll practice more factoring a trinomial with leading coefficient 1. Right, and now let's get into it. We'll look at two examples. Example number 1, we have 6x squared minus x minus 2. So we are supposed to factorize this expression. Now, when you factorize expressions with x with the highest degree not being 1, it becomes a question of trying and erroring. But the bottom line is that we have two expressions that we have to multiply uh, between each other to give us the original expression. So we look for two factors when multiplied together will give us 6x squared. And you can break that out to be 3x and 2x. Because when you multiply 3x by 2x, you get 6x squared. And then we look at our constant here, which doesn't have any variable. X's are all called variables, and all these figures are called constants. So we look for two factors when multiplied together will give us minus 2. So if it's minus 2, it can either be negative 1 and 2 or 1 and negative 2. So we have two options here to choose from. And again, we have to choose which one will go into the first parenthesis and which one will go into the second parenthesis. So let's suppose we choose negative 1 to go into the first parenthesis, negative 1. And then, of course, 2 will go into, 2 will go into the second one. Now, when you try to work this out, you'll find that you don't get exactly what you're looking for here in the first place, because 3x times 2x will give us 6x squared. That's okay. Now 3x times 2 will give us positive 6x, and then negative 1 times 2x will give us negative 2x, and then negative 1 times 2 will give us negative 2. So whereas this is okay and that's okay, this will give us 4x. So that means we've got it wrong, and we've got to look at the other options. So let's look at the second option and see how get it. We have 3x, and then we have 2x. So let's suppose we now choose negative 2 to be in the first uh, expression, and then 1, positive 1 to be in the second expression, and we try it out. So 3x times 2x, this one will give us 6x squared, that's okay. And then 3x times 1 will give us plus 3x. And then minus 2 times 2x will give us minus 4x. And then minus 2 times 1 will give us minus 2. So we've got our x squared, and then we've got our minus 2, which are found here and here. Then we need to look for this minus x. And indeed, positive 3x minus 4x will leave us with minus x. Therefore, we are good to go. We have our 6x squared here, minus x, and minus 2 here. And that will be our final answer. So it's a try and error game you have to play there. Okay, let's look at another example. Example 2. Let's suppose we have 12x squared minus 6y squared, then minus xy. Okay, so in this case, we really generally have to look at these two elements here, because this can be written as 12x squared minus xy minus 6y squared. So we need to look at these two expressions to determine what our two parentheses would be. So when we break this one up into two manageable factors, which when mapped together will give us 12x squared, we can say, okay, let's try out, say, 4x. If we choose 4x, then the other one should be 3x, because 4x times 3x should give us that value there. And then we move on to the second, or rather last expression here, which is minus 3y squared. And so we can break this out into 3y multiplied by 2y. But one of these has to be minus to give us minus 6y squared. So if we chose that to be the negative, then we'll get that value coming out. But now we have the task of trying to fit these two factors into our expression here. So let's suppose we choose that one first and say, let it go there, 3y. And then this positive 2y comes here. So, oops. So we can then look at this expression in an expanded format to see if we can get our final or our original expression. So we have 4x times 3x will give us 12x squared. That's okay because we already have it there. Then we have 4x times 2. This will give us positive 8x. And then we have negative 3y times this should be 2y, sorry. Yeah, this should be 2y. So 4x times 2y will give us 8xy. And then we have negative 3y times 3x will give us negative 9xy. And then negative 3y times 2y will give us minus 6y squared. So we've got our two first and last expressions, and we just need to look at this one. These two, which will give us minus xy, which is what we are looking for here. So finally, if we can write the final expression here, we'll have 12x squared plus 8xy, sorry, minus xy minus 6y squared. And that will be our final answer. Not final answer, but it will be proof that our final answer here is right. 4x minus 3 into 3x plus 2y. Um, okay, if this lesson helped you, don't forget to like, share with anyone you think needs it, and subscribe for more algebra made simple. See you in the next lesson. Bye for now.